All right, while you do that,
All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV. Tonight we have the Dark Horse Area 51 Indy Series, aka Gateway. I'll say Worldwide Technology Raceway. A little long for me, so I stick with Gateway. I'll say so. 135 laps is our race distance. As you can see, it's going to be an evening race tonight. And I say it's a very, very different track. You can see there on the track map, just the way the turns are a little bit different there. The one a little narrower, a little more banking, but then that turn 3 and 4 though a lot wider but flatter. So it really gives a challenge to drivers on all 4 turns here tonight. So while we get things going underway, let's go ahead and pull up our standings after last week's event. And it's going to be Scott Rankin leading Nick DeGroot by 34 points with his 2 wins in the season. Nick's 1 win. Eric Peterson, though, holding very solidly in that 3rd position. 3 top 5s in the 3 races for him. So quietly been amassing some points as well for him. They got Craig Forsyth in 4th. Charles Teed 5th. Jim Brooks, Jeff Heisung, Anders Arhus, our top 8. Then Matt Wagner and Joseph Morales rounding out our top 10. And again, one thing to note here with the Indy Series is they are not going to be doing any playoffs, so it's going to be a 12-week long season. So basically, points every week are going to be just as important. So nobody's going to be vying for that top 8 or anything like that. They're just going to try to find a way to get into that ideal position over through the course of the season itself. So that's definitely one thing we got to keep in mind for these drivers here tonight at Gateway, which is looking like it's going to be a challenge. I'm talking drivers in practice, and sounds like it's going to have a loose feel for these guys tonight. So they're going to have pretty much their work cut out from to try to keep this thing in check. Of course, they all have the one fast repair. However, no green-white checkered attempts here on that Indy Series. And the other important thing as well is going to be fuel mileage, with this being a 135 lap race. Doing the numbers, I believe they can make it on 3 pit stops if they can go 34 minimum laps of fuel. And I'll say that's my mouth calculation, so I'll say buyer beware on that one. I'll say it's my partner in crime. I do have Steve Gottschalk with me back in the booth. He's taking care of his 4-legged partner in crime on his side, while some updates download in the background. Then we'll get Steve's input in here tonight. Like I said, right now, got about 2 minutes left in qualifying here. So yeah, so we're just going to kind of keep an eye on things. And right now, it looks like just a few drivers still making some laps right now. Right now, it looks like about 11 have put some laps in. Which leaves, it looks like, about 7 more. I think we're going to have about, in the high teens, probably about 17, 18 drivers taking the grid here tonight. So I'll say, again, a lot of potential for the running order here to get shaken up. It looks like a lot of early takers in qualifying now. These drivers starting to go a little later on. Maybe trying to get a little bit better track temperature, see if they can sneak a little bit more out of these things once the track cools down a bit. So we'll see what these guys have in store. As I say, it's my 4-legged partner in crime chiming in as well for his demands. Say most likely involving dinner. So right now, it looks like 12 drivers have put down a qualifying lap at the moment. So yeah, so again, really want to welcome everybody over here to Green White Checker TV. Again, for those that aren't familiar, Area 51 Racing League, they race 4 nights a week. Starting off on Sunday nights, they have the Super Speedway Xfinity Series, and that is broadcast here on Green White Checker TV. Monday nights, the Next Gen Series broadcast on Max Speed TV. Tuesday nights, you're here, the Dark Horse Area 51 Indy Series, broadcast by us as well. And then that leaves us with Thursday night with the Super Speedway Truck Series, also on Green White Checker TV. So say 4 nights a week, 4 broadcasted races. So yeah, definitely appreciate all of the support from the drivers, from the viewers, say be it fans, family members, whoever it is on YouTube. It's always a blast to have you all as a part of it here with us each and every evening when we are live.
so she'll leave me alone, hopefully.
Yeah, so yeah, button's good to go. So any perfect timing, Steve, because qualifying has just completed here. So with that, we're going to pull up our starting grid for tonight. And it's going to be our buddy Matt Wagner starting on pole position in that number 6 machine tonight. Next to him, you're going to have Craig Forsyth, Anders Arhus, Alec Coates, Nick DeGroot rounding out our top 10. Then you got Eric Peterson, Jim Brooks, Scott Rankin, Gary Corley, and Yari Brupacher for our top 10. And then 11th to 12th, we got Quabi Brooks, Eric Schaus. Continue down the running order here. AJ Hobson, Jeff Heisong, Jack Walls, Joseph Morales, Thaddeus McMurray, and a little surprising, Charles T going to start shotgun here tonight. Although, say, maybe doing for some strategy, maybe trying to climb his way towards the front of the field. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that number 50 machine as well. Hopefully he's actually here to make sure he can be a part of this one, so we'll keep an eye for him as well. But yeah, Steve, 135 laps here tonight. 2 very, very different turns through 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And it sounds like it's definitely been a handful for these drivers tonight, just trying to get a grip on these things. Sounds like definitely on the loose side tonight, so these guys are going to definitely have their hands full this evening.
So I'm still updating here. Are we at Gateway tonight?
We are indeed. And I was making a joke about that a little earlier. Say, officially Worldwide Technology Raceway, but say for us older fellas, we prefer going with Gateway. I say it's hard to adjust with the purchasing and the partnerships, and I say, like, I go back to Sears Point, Sonoma, Infineon. I mean, just I couldn't keep up with those things. So we are here indeed at Gateway, Steve. And right now, we've got a handful of drivers that haven't taken the grid. Matt Wagner hops in at the very last moment. But I'm seeing about 3 drivers not on track here. Now, 2 actually. Looks like Yari Brubacher and Charles Teed actually did not grid here. So not sure what's going on. Hopefully, we'll be able to see those 2. But right now, that's going to give us 16 cars on track, as the field's just now starting to roll off to take their formation lap. And Steve, I know you're going to get everything settled in here shortly, so we'll say no worries there. I say we got plenty of racing to go here tonight at Gateway.
So yeah, when you have a moment, once they get going, I would love to know what I missed last week.
Oh man, I gotta remember. I say it's tough enough for me to remember what I've done myself a week ago. So I gotta go back. Let me go back. We're gonna look at our points here. That's going to be my easiest way. So last week we were at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, and New Hampshire, a very difficult track to pass at. Might be a similar situation here, kind of 2 flat ovals in a row, if you will. But Scott Rankin, that was really quick, able to get the win. But there were definitely some drivers that I think had a little bit more in the tank had they had the track position. Charles Teed, one of those. Jim Brooks, not the fuel mileage he was looking for, dropped him down the running order. The big thing of the day there, though, was just the timing of the yellows. Really some winners and losers from the timing of those yellows. So we'll see if we have similar situations tonight as the pace cars just dropped off onto pit road. That's going to hand it over to our front row of Matt Wagner and Craig Forsyth as they wait for that green flag to fly here on the front stretch. And there it goes. And we are down and away. 135 laps is our scheduled distance here tonight at Gateway as they hit turn number 1 for the first time.
And if I remember correctly from last season, didn't Matt Wagner love this track?
I believe this is one that Matt's always got marked on his calendar in that number 6 machine. But he's felt like he's been kind of snake bitten, so we'll have to keep an eye. As I do need to mention Yari Brubacher, he is back on track. He has gotten out of the pits, or got on track from the pits, so he will be in this event as well. Right now, about a half a lap behind our leader, Matt Wagner. But I say as long as he got the pace, he should be in a pretty good spot. And right now, really early on here, early on here, Steve. These guys have started to spread out a little bit. I think just, again, really wanting to race the track, kind of get comfortable, get the tire temperatures up as well. And then I think these guys are really going to start to go racing. But right now it looks like everybody's being pretty calm, cool, and collected. However, I say should have been watching lap number 1, it looks like, from Eric Schaus, as he's jumped from 12th to 7th in 1 lap here. So big moves there by that number 72 car to get from 12th to 7th here right on those opening couple of laps.
Well, it's not easy to do at this track.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. I say that, but I say if there's something to do, I would be pointing at an Eric Schaus or a Nick DeGroot, drivers like that can really make those big moves. Maybe kind of saw what Charles Teed was able to do in our season opener at the Auto Club and say, hey, I'll try to one-up you there and make some big starts here. So right now that moves him, like I said, up into that top 10 in that 7th position. Otherwise, not a lot of movement so far. Actually, Nick DeGroot dropped 4 spots from his starting spot, so not the opening stint he was looking for, but now, say, Eric looking at might be going the wrong way as Scott Rankin now working over that 72 car, trying to get himself now up into that 7th spot.
My other recollection from last season is this is a very technical track with a lot of shifting. I think they were doing 5th gear through the long turn and down to 4th and maybe even 3rd in the short turn. And they also had to be extremely careful because the car tended to push coming off the turns if you got onto it too early.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of gearing adjustments going on through the course of this race. And what we'll do is actually, Craig Forsyth having a great battle there with Matt Wagner. We're going to hop on board with that number 27 car, and we'll listen in and see what he is doing exactly on the gearing side of things. So as they hit turn number 1 here, looks like he's going to drop it down to 4th gear there through 1 and 2. And of course picks up the draft. It's going to get a nice slipstream down the backstretch here. And we'll see in 3 and 4 again, much wider angled turn, able to probably carry some more speed as he's in 6th gear at the moment. And actually it looks like he's going to carry 6th gear all the way through the turn there. Alec Coates behind him, however, he drops it to 5th gear. So yeah, it looks like maybe turns 1 and 2 here, Steve, they drop to probably about 4th gear, 3 and 4, option of 5th or 6th there. So that might be just Craig Forsyth also opting to try to do a little bit of tire strategy, or fuel strategy, I should say, trying to save fuel in that 27 car, I have a feeling. Try to get that little bit of extra track position, run a little longer here on this first stint.
And that may turn out to be a wise move.
So I'm going to move a little further back here. Got a good little battle here with a couple drivers. Got Gary Corley in 10th, Quabi Brooks 11th, and then you got AJ Hobson, Jeff Heisong, all these drivers within about a second of one another here. They've separated themselves a little bit behind Scott Rankin, who still sits in that 9th position. And that's actually a big thing here, Steve, is our points battle. Again, going into it tonight, that 156, Scott Rankin, our points leader, currently sits in 9th position, and then Nick DeGroot, 2nd place, sits in the 8th spot. So definitely a big opportunity for somebody that might be near the top 2 in points here to try to make a big gain. Of course, still long ways to go in this race. But it's one of those things with these drivers, I think you see blood in the water, you know that aggression's going to pick up, and these guys are going to just try to get every little bit that they can.
Yeah, and those two in particular are 2 of the fastest, most aggressive drivers in the league, so it's kind of surprising to see them sitting back there.
Yes, I'm not sure if it's just a comfort thing, or maybe just they just don't have the feel for this track car combo tonight. But just saw right there, AJ Hobson sneaking around Quabi Brooks to grab that 11th spot, set his sights now on Gary Corley, and then Jeff Heisong trying to follow along. It looks like trying to run a little different groove, get that fresh air on the nose, or wing, I should say, of his number 18 car. But right now, everybody holding steady at about 2-3 tenths of a second or so from one another. Looks like Jim Brooks starting to get crept up on by Eric Schaus, though. Say Eric continuing to try to make his drive forward. Had to fight off a couple drivers there, a few laps, been able to regain those spots and get back after the 51 here as they come through, back through the front stretch here on lap number 13. And it looks like whatever Scott is doing, it looks like starting to work for him, and that 156 actually puts down the fastest lap of the race, 25:05, compared to most everybody else in the 25:20s or higher. So say Scott finding some pace in there, but we're going to jump back up because Eric Schaus is working underneath the 51, can't quite do it there. He's got to get right back into the draft, otherwise that number 89 of Nick DeGroot was going to be able to try to capitalize on him there through the front.
Okay, I finally got everything going here.
Oh, Eric Schaus chooses I wouldn't say the wrong lane, but follows the path of that 51, gets in the dirty air. Nick DeGroot worked the top side there, and he's going to get a great exit here off of turn number 4. He's going to take a look entering turn number 1, but now it's going to be Eric Schaus that gets the clean air for the moment behind Jim Brooks. So right now, let's say these guys are kind of just trying to find where they need to go here, but I'm going to go back to the front, though, because Alec Coates has really brought the pressure onto Craig Forsyth now, working that 2nd position here, trying to grab that number 2 spot from that 27 car. Looks like Craig able to stretch it away just a little bit, so we're going to go back once more to this fight here because it continues to persist here. You see Nick DeGroot. You don't see Eric Schaus. He's just to the right side of the screen there. There's Eric. And as you can see, Eric able to hold on to that position. While they've been doing this, Scott Rankin's been creeping in slowly but surely into this picture there. As again, Eric Schaus trying to find a way around that 51, but Jim running a pretty solid line here. Just Eric trying to find a way to get around. He's going to try to send it here into turn number 3. And that's a big aggressive move by Eric. He's going to grab that 6th position. And now you're going to see Nick DeGroot going to try to follow that through as well.
Yeah, God, it looked like Jim Brooks wasn't anticipating that. Started to come down to take the bottom lane.
Gary Corley out into the outside wall. I think possibly a little bit of contact on the entry to turn number 1 between himself and the 18. It's going to bring the caution out here. So that's going to put yellow number 1 at lap number 18. Have it already loaded up here. So we're watching the F18 of Jeff Heisong, the 7 of Gary Corley. They were right outside of the top 10 here. And you see as Gary starts to turn in, it was maybe a little later entry for the number 7 car. And so not sure if netcode or not, but unfortunately, though, nothing Gary can do there. Just winds up into the outside wall there. So not an ideal situation for him. He's going to try to limp that thing back. But you can see he winds up looping it around, and that's what causes the yellow there through turns 1 and 2. And I believe we're going to see a pretty busy pit road here. So let's go ahead and jump back live. And yeah, as you see, everybody's heading down that pit access road, because that's the other thing here, Steve. Access road entry and exit, definitely a very, very tricky pit road here at Gateway, especially if they're going to have to do any potential green flag pit stops.
And I would imagine everybody's going to take 4 tires and fuel here.
Yeah, we're not going to see any strategy. The only strategy might just be how aggressive they can get in and out of their pit box here. But it looks like pretty much everybody's holding pretty much station. As, yeah, Matt's going to indeed hold that lead off of pit road. And it looks like top 3 are going to stay put. However, big gainer here. And no, not 4 tires and fuel for everybody here, Steve. Nick DeGroot, 5.85 second pit stop. That's got fuel only written all over it, and that's going to jump him up into that 4th position here. Going for a little bit of gamble here, going for track position over fresh tires.
It looked to me like Eric Schaus had a pretty fast pit stop there too.
Yeah, he actually did. You're right. It looks like about a 7.9 second for 4 tires and fuel for him. And I believe that allowed him to also grab a spot, as they would have pretty much netted up into the top 5 if not for that fuel only stop by Nick DeGroot there. So you're right, though. It also moves up Eric here now up into that 6th position. Another good stop was Jim Brooks in the 51, a 7.93 second pit stop for him as well. So those are actually the only 2 sub 8 second stops for 4 tires and fuel for these guys up front. And then a good break here for Jari Brupacher as well. This allows Jari to catch back up to the field. So he's able to now kind of recycle with the lead pack once more, not being stuck that half lap down. So be curious to see what Yari's overall pace is as well, now that he's going to kind of be with the pack once more. The other thing that's going to happen here, Steve, is I'm going to say the timing of this yellow here is still pretty early on. With these guys able to kind of run that fuel map under caution, maybe we see anybody towards the back of the pack opt to go ahead and consider taking a splash of fuel just to have that little bit of extra fuel if they need it. Maybe try to pull a fuel mileage game out here. I'm going to try to do some quick math dangerously to see if this puts anybody in a potential window.
If I was in the back of the field, I would definitely top off. I mean, really got nothing to lose back there. And here comes somebody into the pits. I think that's Jari.
Yeah, perfect call by Jari here to do that. So it would be a stretch, but I don't think it's impossible, Steve, because right now, doing the rough numbers, is we're going to restart with about 112, I think, laps to go, somewhere in that range. And so looking at the numbers, if they can go 37, maybe 38 laps on fuel, they could two-stop it instead of having to plug in for that third stop. So there is some potential here for someone to be able to try to pull a two-stopper off. Again, this is all based on things going green to the end. As you see, Yari Yep is going to take that quick splash and go here. So this could get intriguing here. Does anybody really try to stretch their field and make it a two-stop race for them? I feel like up front, I don't think anybody will be able to run that kind of a number, but again, these guys really like to prove me wrong pretty often, so might be a good chance that this could be a two-stop race for a lot of these drivers, especially those trapped in the draft.
Curious to see if anybody tops off again on this lap.
Now, I won't see any top off here because the lights are off on the pace car. So Yari, the only taker here, Steve, to go ahead and pit that second lap later. So it's going to have, so he's going to restart in 16th. I'm going to definitely be keeping an eye out on him. Unfortunately, it looks like Gary Corley has retired. That's going to hand this over to Matt Wagner as he's going to have control of this restart here. And you can see he's jumping pretty early there, right at the exit of 4. It's a nice little margin over that number 27 of Craig Forsyth as they head back into turn number 1. So say plenty of space up front there for Matt. However, Nick DeGroot making quick work of that number 3 of Alec Coates, as actually Alex got a little bit of connectivity issue. Looks like a little bit of blinking there in that 3 car. But Nick's going to grab that spot, move himself up to 3rd, even without taking tires there. So say so far that track position game looks like it has been a success for him. A little further back, Eric Schaus hasn't been able to get around Anders Arhus there at the moment. However, Jeff Heisong working on AJ Hobson here. That would be for the top 10 spot and give it to the 18 for the moment. And looks like he will indeed clear that 4 car. So move AJ Hobson now up into that top 10 as well. So Yari Brewpacker, he's picked up a couple spots on this restart as well over Joseph Morales, Status McMurray. So he's now up into the 14th position. So we're going to jump a little bit further up because now Scott Rankin working over Jim Brooks here. Oh, Scott just touches the kind of the rumble strip there, but able to keep that car gathered and just clears that 51. It looks like Jim maybe cut him a little bit of slack there off 4.
See, Jim's getting abused by people that are trying to pass him tonight.
Yeah, and saying I talked to him a little bit pre-race, and he was commenting and say he'd actually be rather broadcasting this race. Just sounds like he didn't really get much of a confidence with the feel of that car for himself tonight. So, but right now, I mean, holding strong here, only 2 spots down from where he started. So I mean, look at some of the guys that started behind him that have gotten around him. Eric Schaus being one of those with those big 6 spots gained. But it looks like he's not done though. He's starting to kind of take a peek under Scott here as well. I mean, you look from Eric Peterson on back. I mean, these guys are pretty much all locked onto each other. I'd say this is where that arrow wash is going to be at its worst for these guys, because you've got about 5 cars here, all within again about a second or so of one another.
Eric Schaus took
just a kiss of the wall by Scott Rankin. We'll see if that's enough to hurt his car. Now it looks like that car just did not turn. Looked like maybe just kissed the right side a little bit there. Sorry to cut you off there, Steve. But I'm going to keep an eye on that 156. We'll have to see if that thing's able to kind of get the speed back up. As that Quabi Brooks catches that inside curb, he hits the wall off of 4. And that's going to bring our second yellow out here. Looks like the only car involved, luckily. As you can see, he's going to loop it back around here and try to get this thing back to the pits. Looks like, yeah, right front suspension damage. As we can see, maybe could be able to maybe get away with just a nose cone. That's going to probably have fast repair written all over it. And let's say, we saw exactly what happened there. Unfortunately, he was trying to make that pass on Scott Rankin and just caught the inside of the kind of that curb we talked about there, that rumble strip, if you will, Steve. And it's just, there's just nothing you can do. Once you hit that, it really upsets that car. A few drivers have kind of flirted with it before, got away with it, but not so lucky this time for that 53. We'll watch right here as we see him come through 3 and 4. And you'll see right here, he's going to cut down and just catch it there with that left front tire. And actually more than catches it. And then by then, yeah, that car's just going to go up and around. And I'll say Jack Walls is going to be the one that gets a little nervous about it. But he's able to cut really nicely left there to avoid that 53 car. It looks like Yari Brewparker was next on the scene to have to duck low. So great avoidance by those guys behind him.
And Nick DeGroot, first one to hit the pits, it looks like, from 4th place.
Yeah, it looks like not a bad call here because he's going to bring a lot of guys with him. And I think this is where this easily puts everybody. We're talking about that potential fuel strategy, Steve. I think this is going to put these guys in an easy 2-stop window to the end. I was curious about about Yari Brupacher, but he's opted to come in with them. So pretty much 6th on back here, all hitting pit road. The only 2 behind Nick de Groot that stayed out appear to be Anders Arhus, AJ Hobson. They stay out. They're going to gain a handful of spots to get themselves up into that top 5, but looks like these guys thinking track position is going to be the winning move over those tires. And I think at this point here for Nick de Groot, yeah, it is going to be 4 tires and fuel, no questions there. However, talk about strategy once again. Yari Brupacher, he does take fuel only there. That's going to jump him up into that top 10 right behind the 36 car of Eric Peterson. So pretty much, Steve, we're going to have about a 10 to 11 lap difference on fuel for these drivers. And again, we talked about the fuel window probably being around mid-30s or so. So I'm kind of thinking, I'll say the question mark I think is for this top 5 is, are they now in a 2-stop window, or is it possible that these guys behind them are going to be the ones in that 2-stopper? So that's going to be the other question here as we get the one to go. And a few drivers do top off as well, just I think to cover bases. Joseph Morales in that number 60, as well as Quabi Brooks there in the 53. At this point, I think they're kind of towards the back anyway. I think that's just, why not? Kind of a similar situation we saw with Yari earlier, so I don't think it's a bad call for these guys here. But yeah, it's going to be fun to see now what Nick de Groot can do here with those 10-lap fresher tires than AJ Hobson, Anders Arhus, Alec Coates, before having a chance to get after Craig and Matt here.
I think the top 5, with them changing their fuel map under caution, I think that they'll be able to make it on 2 stops, but they're going to have to be fairly conservative. From Nick de Groot on back, I mean, those guys can be as aggressive as they want to now.
That's a good point. That could be this could be a full rich versus maybe having to go to a map 3 or something like that to be able to make your numbers. So we'll see. We're going to keep an eye on these guys here. Again, we'll see that pace car make that sharp left off of the track. We'll see, does Matt change up his restart point here, because he's got control of it once that pace car's off the racing surface. And he is going to wait a little longer this time, just as he gets onto the straightaway, as we head back to green here, start lap number 33. So basically about 103 laps to go here on Steve. So again, try to do rough numbers on that. So I mean, basically, yeah, if they can go, I think it's right at that 34 lap mark again. I say we were talking about that at the beginning of the race. That should be the number to make it on a 3-stopper. I think now that's the 2-stopper windows. We got a great battle here behind these guys. You've got Eric Schaus, Nick de Groot's right there. Yari Brupacher's right here. Yari's going to take a look in turn number 1. And then you got Eric Peterson right behind there as well. Jim Brooks kind of tagging on here as well. So these guys are all locked onto one another. And Yari is definitely making some moves happen here. Steve works around that 72 of Eric Schaus. Moves Yari now up into the 6th position, it looks like.
And that was an unusual restart for Nick de Groot. He did not get going and lost 2 spots. I don't know exactly why.
I think I have one suspicion, Steve. We've seen it before. Maybe he's kept it in that caution fuel map and forgot to switch it back to map 1.
Oh, yeah. I bet you're right.
We've been there, done that. I have. I don't know about you. I've definitely been there, done that, unfortunately. So, yeah, you're right, though. It does cost him a few spots. He's able to grab 1 back from Eric Schaus here. But like I said, moves Yari back up into that 6th spot. And then critically, I think for Yari too, is he's now the first of those that went ahead and topped off on pitted under that yellow. Although interestingly, is he's now the first car leading that group without taking tires, whereas Nick de Groot the first one with the fuel and the tires. So it'll be fun to see how they compare. This will be a pretty good kind of an apples to apples fight to see tires versus track position here.
Yeah, so far Yari's making it work just like Nick de Groot made it work on the last segment. But, oh my God, look at Nick drive into that turn.
Yeah, saying while you're looking at that, I was peeking up a little further because Craig Forsyth is under pretty good attack from Alec Coates here. Same thing, dropping to just a couple tenths of a second there through the, especially on the entry here. And something I haven't talked about tonight, but it's been pretty much sitting quietly right inside the top 5 here all night long, is Anders Aarhus in that number 10 car. I feel like this is one where last week Loudon was the one he really had penciled in, where he was feeling good, kind of like Matt Wagner tonight at tonight at Gateway. Anders kind of had that as well for Loudon, and it was without a doubt. I mean, he definitely had pace. It just unfortunately didn't quite pan out for him as well. As they just, again, timing of yellows, things of that nature, just didn't really work out for him there. So this could be. I mean, it's a very similar flat oval. Obviously, definitely have their differences, but I think this could be one for Anders to have a good rebound race here tonight.
Yeah, to me, this is kind of a hybrid between a road course and an oval. So guys that are very good at, the technical kind of courses are the ones that should shine here.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with you there. So right now, say the closest battles on track, we have a second and third to say is, again, you can continue to see that battle. Nick de Groot and Jari Brupacher, that one's still fighting pretty tough as well. Jim Brooks and Scott Rankin starting to creep in here as well, saying Jim's trying to work over Eric Peterson right in front of him as well. But we're going to jump up to his battle for second because, man, that 3 car is there. He is trying to find a way to get around that 27. But so far, Craig's done a very good job to fight that position off here.
And we got definitely a couple nice paint schemes here too.
Yeah, definitely some really good looking cars, and that's going to be a difficult one to fight here. This is going to be a risk versus reward for Craig here. You've seen that car in the mirror. You know he's been blinking here and there. How much do you fight this? Because you worry. You don't want to lose track position, but we've seen net code and we've seen things like that become very difficult. You see right there again, starting to blink a little bit more there through the front stretch. So this is a really tough spot for Craig to be in because you don't know if they're going to blink. Is it going to be a clean blink? Is it their car going to kind of jump to the side and possibly get into you? It's a really risky kind of a strategy there for what you need to do. So, but Craig's able to hold off that spot here and keep that second position. But in that fighting, though, that last time by, Steve lost half a second to Matt Wagner in the 6 car and moved Matt up to almost a second and a half of a lead over Craig Forsyth. So definitely a good opportunity for Matt to try to stretch out and sneak away here a little bit. We're going to go back, though, because, man, same thing here. Nick de Groot is all over Jari here, and it's also brought Eric Schaus right into the thick of this as well here.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, they had put some distance between them and Eric Schaus. So I'd imagine that, Nick de Groot is probably getting held up, and he's probably at the point where he really wants to get by because he's feeling the pressure from behind.
And I think that's exactly it. And then Nick feels like he's got to hurry up because he's got Eric right behind him. And again, the question that these guys have is like, hey, are we on the winning strategy? Should we stay green? Or are we too far back where these guys may be able to back it down and save some field? But we're going to jump back actually because missed the pass there. But Alec Coates gets around Craig Forsyth and move Alec now up in that second spot. We'll go back. We'll take a look at this pass here for that position. Let's say once it actually goes back. All right. Maybe we won't look at it because I think it's having some troubles. But however, though, with that pass, it's kind of opened up Craig now. He's now under attack from Anders Aarhus. Now Anders going for that third position. But again, it's kind of all about where that car in front of you is. And that time, the 3 was on the low side. That gave Craig clean air on the front wing of his car. You can see how much Anders had to roll out of it to kind of just get that car to slow down and to rotate. And that's allowed Craig to sneak away and get actually right back on the rear wing of that number 3.
Curious. Oh, looks like Craig was thinking about trying to pass it.
I guess we need kind of a side by side here. And look at this though. I think Nick de Groot is like, you know what? I can't get around him. You give it a try, Eric, because he actually rolls off of the backstretch here, lets the 72 go by here. I think trying to give Eric a chance here to see if he can find a way to get around Jari because just Nick just was not able to do so.
Yeah, I've done that sometimes, let somebody by and let them kind of make a path for you so you can get by the person that you were having trouble passing. But it also might be that Nick just didn't want to quite run the pace that he was being pushed to run. So he may have let Eric go just to relieve a little pressure from behind.
Yeah, so he's got plenty of space behind him now to be able to kind of just breathe, if you will. As here comes Eric Schauss. He tries to look low there, just doesn't have the rotation. Has to fall back in line once more. But the thing is, the more they're doing this, it's bringing Scott Rankin into the picture in that 156. And as I say that, there goes Nick's like, all right, you tried. I'm going back for this one. As I say, now Nick's going to try to clear that 72, but he can't quite do it. And Eric's going to have the draft as well. So he's going to hold into that 8th position there currently. And I got to go back to this battle between 2nd through 4th here because, man, Steve, look at this group here. Actually, you got to add 5th in there. AJ Hobson, he's right in the mix here as well. As here goes Honors, he's going to work the inside here through 3 and 4. And it's going to be a heat off the straightaway. But again, the draft goes to that 27 car. The momentum you're able to keep built up as well. So it's going to hold with that 27 at the moment. But the next question here, Steve, pit stops. These guys pit at lap number 19. We're on lap number 52. So I feel like that window is going to be starting to open in probably about the next, again, this is going to be all rough estimates here, but I'm going to say maybe about, 5 more laps or so, because I think that gets us to about that 35-lap window we talked about.
Yeah, I think that's... I wouldn't be surprised to see them go a little bit farther just because of the fuel that they saved when they were under yellow, but we'll see.
And then, yeah, so the other question is going to be kind of who has been able to save how much. The question, Matt Wagner, he's straight up gone. He's got about 2.7 seconds over these guys. As I haven't even really talked about him while he's been leading most of this race here. But then, again, we look behind. Here comes AJ Hobson going to try to work over Anders here. And you wonder with the lead that Matt has, maybe he is able to kind of turn it down a little bit and maybe try to run a number, if you will, as now Anders is going to look under Craig Forsyth through turns 3 and 4. And again, Anders is able to get there, but Craig able to keep that power down. A better exit here for Anders, but that draft's going to propel him right further up here, but still not quite enough to clear. Ah, man, these guys are battling hard right now.
Yeah, they are. So I'm wondering, with Matt, so far ahead of everybody, should we still try and talk about him, or should we criticize him for getting so far ahead and blame it on him that we're not talking about him?
Well, we'll say that what's happening right now is he's probably just being too aggressive in the field, and these guys are just playing nice, and they're probably running like map 5 while he's on map 1. As they say,
no.
Anders up in the wall, got a little bit of contact there from, I believe it was the 4 of AJ Hobson. The question now is, can Anders limp that thing back to the pits without bringing out a yellow, because that's, I think, going to be the question here. And so far, he's able to slow it down enough. He's going to, try to bring it left. You see Quabi swing back by there. I think he's got one more car to go by him. Then he can try to cut left here. And looks like he's going to make it. But that's a heartbreaker for Honors. Let's go back and take a look, as it looks like we are going to indeed stay green here. But it looked like, again, just these guys fighting so hard for position. So I'll pick up a little bit here, but I think, yeah, AJ Hobson almost had it clear, because he caught that rumble strip and drifts up right into the outside, or into the side of that 10 car, and then just nothing Anders can do there. So and while we're talking about that, I noticed that 3 of Alec Coates, he's just hit pit road. So that's going to be put him in for his first pit stop at second pit stop, I should say, at lap number 58. As Matt Wagner continues to lead. However, that lead has dropped here, Steve, to about 1.5 seconds. And again, I'm thinking this might be Matt turning that wick down to try to stretch a couple more laps if he can. As AJ Hobson, he's now hit pit road as well in that number 4, which now has promoted Jari Brupacher up in that 3rd spot. Again, Jari pitting about 10 laps later than those guys up front. And I think I just saw someone peel off, and that was our race leader, Matt Wagner. So he's going to be pitting here at lap number 60. Craig Forsyth, though, getting some mileage. It's kind of Craig's forte. I feel like he's able to stretch the field numbers on this 27 car. We'll see if he comes in this time. Indeed, here he comes, lap 61 for that 27 car.
I'll tell you, it's going to be tight for Alec Coates whether he can make it on one more stop or not, but Matt should be able to, and everybody else that pits after him should be able to.
Yeah, it's just going to be the question of, I think, how aggressive can you be And so you can see Yari and Eric have kind of gapped Nick DeGroot a little bit here. Scott Rankin starting to creep up on him as well for that third position. So the other question mark, of course, is going to be drivers where they are in relation on track. And so basically all those drivers that pitted, they are one lap down at the moment. Matt Wagner being the first of those currently trapped one down, as Craig Forsyth just now starting to leave pit road in that 27 car. And actually I can kind of pull up a little map here to kind of show you where they are. And we'll do it by car number. So you see over there on the top right of your screen, it's not the biggest, so I apologize, you won't be able to see it super well. But you can try to get a rough idea of where your favorite driver is on track at the moment in relation to our leader in that number 49 machine as he goes through 1 and 2 here.
If this saves green and the guys who state or who are still out there that haven't pitted yet, if they end up having to pit under green also, I want you to notice that Craig Forsyth would now be in the lead over Matt Wagner.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that too, Steve. As I was looking at timing and scoring, and I was going to say, yeah, right now Craig's got about a second over Matt Wagner as Matt's working around Eric Peterson there. Again, not for a position, but the other important thing, Steve, is the lucky dog battle. If there's an untimely caution, that would promote Craig to that lucky dog spot and put him back onto the lead lap, with Matt having to wait and take a wave around and restart at the tail end. So there's a couple things that really could shake things up. I'll say a lot of these guys are probably yelling at me around that as they don't bring up the potential of that caution. But yeah, right now, say again, it's only a 10 lap roughly difference between some of these guys and when they have to pit. And here's the window already. Yari Brubacher hitting pit road here. Again, very difficult access road. It's not a lot of grip here. And so it's easy to gain and lose time. You see Yari's going to lock it down there. That looked a little hot to me, Steve. I don't know if he's going to get that speed down in time or not for that one. So we'll watch his pit stop time. That's going to promote Eric Schaus now to lead in that 72 car. Scott Rankin has gotten around Nick DeGroot, so moves Scott now up into that second spot. And Eric indeed going to go a little further in that 72 Hot Wheels car.
Okay, so we've got green flag stop starting.
Oh, caution is out, Steve.
Oh,
and
no,
it is the 156, I believe, of Scott Rankin that brings out the yellow, and that was exactly what we were talking about at the time of that yellow. Well, to see who was actually officially a lap down there, because it actually might not even go to Craig or Matt. It might actually go to Yari Brubacher possibly, or even Eric Peterson. So we'll have to wait to see. Jim Brooks is actually on pit road, I believe, when that yellow came out. So this is going to get very, very interesting to see when that caution flies. So let me go let's find the cause of this yellow. I think it was due to the 156 car. Let's go and take a look at Scott Rankin here.
He lost it on the access road.
Yeah, it looks like they got a little too greedy on the throttle here. So we'll kind of slow it down here as he gets through. And then, yeah, it just drifts up into that grass. And at that point, you're just kind of a passenger. And then, we'll kind of speed it back up once more. And, yeah, almost had it caught, then loops it back around, unfortunately. And that's where you'll see some cars go by, and that's what's going to bring out the yellow. But look at some of the decision makers there. I saw one car jump straight back onto track when that happened. I think Nick DeGroot was on pit road. I think it was... Who was it that went down there? I think it was the 18 car, actually, of Jeff Heisung opted to jump back up on track there in order to, I believe, not kind of enter a closed pit. So we're going to jump back live here, though, because I don't know what our running order is going to be right now. I'm showing Nick DeGroot as our race leader. Nope, now Eric Schaus. Yeah, I have no idea who our leader is going to be at the moment. This is going to be interesting, though, Steve, that timing of that yellow. It's really kind of shaking things up here. And it looks like, again, the wave round cars, though, are going to be from Yari Brubacher, Matt Wagner, AJ Hobson, Eric Peterson. We're talking about Craig Forsyth. He was, I believe, indeed that lucky dog as he's going to hit pit road here. So he's going to be able to put a little bit more fuel, probably get some tires as well here on that 27.
Man, did Jack Walls have to take an evasive maneuver to avoid running into Heisung?
Let's go ahead. Let's actually pull that up here. So we can go back and find where that yellow initially started. We'll watch it from Jack Wall's point of view here. All right, so let's pick it up at speed here. So you can see still green. And then let's say there's the yellow here, so you can see Jack already woeing it down, but you see right there, the car hops out on track. Where's he going? Where's he going? Oh man, that was close call for Jack Walls there. Like I said, barely avoids getting into the back. And then behind him, actually, I think it was Craig Forsyth that almost got into the back of Jack there as well. So you're right, a very, very close call there. So, but yeah, I'd say again, I'm gonna have a lot of drivers here yell at me after the race once they watch the broadcast, Steve, because I said the one thing they're not gonna want is a yellow, and that's exactly what's happened here. And the crazy part about this is the 156 that brings out the yellow honestly might benefit a little bit out of this, because he's only back into that 6th position, roughly where he was when that yellow came out. I believe, though, the big winners out of all of this, other than Eric Schaus, obviously, I mean, look at Jeff Heisung, Jack Walls. They're 2nd and 3rd. Quabi Brooks, he's worked his way up to 4th here, just running that long fuel strategy, probably just kind of taking it easy, playing it safe. As I was saying, literally right now crossing the halfway point and getting the 1 to go here as well. And what's going to happen here, Steve, is, again, here go all the wave around cars, and it's going to looks like cycle it to Eric Schaus as our race leader. And then the other thing to mention, Anders R, who's unfortunate with that damage, still sits 2 laps down, but is going to be the only driver a lap down or more. So any future yellows, depending if and when they happen, that should promote that 10 car to get those laps back. So say for Anders, he's going to be hoping for a couple more yellows here without being involved in them.
Yes.
You always got to add that stipulation, because whenever you want the yellow to happen, it winds up being you. And yeah, Charles, I'm glad to see you in the chat. Wish you were on track here. Let me know if you're around. Say I can drag you up here if you want to have a chat with Steve and I while we watch these guys. I don't know if that's rubbing salt in the wound, but let me know if that's the case. But definitely missing seeing you on track here tonight, man. But we're about to get going back to green here, Steve. Coming to 65 to go.
So for Scott Rankin, that's probably like a reverse karma kind of thing.
I think that's a task failed successfully for Scott Rankin there, to have that mistake, bring out the yellow, but then to be able to come back up into that top 5 there. So, and you see right away here, Eric Schaus going to try to break that draft from Jeff Heisung, just try to run away and hide. And so again, Steve, that we talked about the fuel window, 65 to go, so split it in half. I mean, that's about 32, 33 laps. I think that's easily in everybody's window to make it to the end. So I think at this point, these guys are going to be going to map 1, full rich, just get everything you can out of it here. But we're going to jump back a little bit, because, again, Scott Rankin, as I said, he catches the wall off of turn number 2, Steve. Not sure if it was worse than it looked or not, but we're going to have to watch to see if that 156 car, if it's going to have any damage from it, because Nick DeGroot's roared right up to the back of that car. I say it's one of those things, sometimes it looks worse in the booth than it was for the car, but that car looks like it is off pace here.
Yeah, he hit it really hard. I was in camera, or in car, when that happened.
And so you can see he's already starting to get worked over by the 89, now the 27 as well. Again, points battle-wise, this could be a big swing here potentially. As you saw Nick DeGroot, he was 2nd in points coming in. He's going to get around, as is that Craig Forsyth. Here comes Jim Brooks. He's going to probably take a look in 1. Nope, not yet. He's going to wait and try to go back after a little bit later here. But yeah, I mean, so far though, I mean, for that big of a hit, he's limping along pretty well. But you can see, yeah, it looks like definitely missing some top-end speed here. We're going to move a little bit further forward here, because again, kind of not, let's say, the beneficiaries of these, let's say it's now, say Quabi Brooks had that early spin in 3 and 4 earlier. Now it's starting to put some pressure on Jack Walls. Oh, as I think he hit the wall again there, Steve. I just saw it out the corner of my eye. And yeah, he's dropping more and more spots, so I think that damage is just making it worse and worse. Plus damage, plus the dirty air. I don't think that car wants to turn at all. So Scott right now is just going to have to go survival mode, I think, hope for a yellow that isn't him, in order to try to have a chance to get that fast repair should he have one left available.
He gave a nice little scare to whoever was passing him on the inside.
Oh, you see the 36. And that's going to be the yellow that he was looking for, and also for Anders Arhus, because that's going to be, unfortunately, Eric Peterson just got a little greedy on the throttle, loops it around. No harm, no foul, though. Car should be fine. He's going to grab a gear, get back going. But yeah, unfortunately for Eric, just loops it around there. We'll go back and take one more look. We're watching as it happened here. But yeah, just Eric going for the pass there, and it's just such a tight turn there, 1 and 2, Steve. You try to get on the throttle, maybe just a little too much, too aggressive, and that thing just steps out from behind you, and that's exactly what happened to Eric Peterson here.
Yep, it either does that or it hits the wall.
Yeah, and you can see it's already starting to drift up a little bit, and I think that's where Eric's he's playing nice there. You can see, I think he puts a little bit of extra wheel in it to make sure he doesn't drift up into Scott. And unfortunately, that's what bites him. That sends him around in that number 36. But like I said, I say flirts with the blue cone there. But again, I think probably some upset tires, and that's about it. So I think, again, just grab a gear, get back going. And honestly, probably some pretty contented drivers with that yellow there. Like I said, I think for sure Anders Arhus, he should be getting our wave around here, get back to 1 lap down in the 10 car. And then I think even more so Scott Rankin, hopefully getting that look or getting the fast repair taken care of, giving him a chance to have a run to get back towards the front again and try to minimize some of that points damage. Yep, there goes Anders. He's going to get 1 of these 2 laps back. So now he's working for says, all right, guys, just 1 more. Let me have a chance at this thing. I say Scott Rankin is on pit road, and let's see, looks like might lengthier pit stop here, Steve, so might actually, nope, there goes 12.5 seconds. So, not sure there. Usually if it adds a few seconds, it might be due to a front wing change, but I feel like that was enough of a hit. That's definitely suspension damage there. So, hopefully it's a fast repair. We'll see how his pace looks for sure. The other thing this does, though, is it starts to bring some of these guys back that lost a lot of track position closer to the front. Nick DeGroot's going to now be up to 4th, Craig Forsyth 5th, Matt Wagner up to 7th. And saying, say if anybody's going to have their bit between their teeth right here, it's going to be that 6th of Matt Wagner.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, this is going to be another one of those races that he, woulda, coulda, shoulda, and things just didn't work out for him luck-wise.
Yeah,
so far.
No, exactly right. So I'll say, however, though, so we're gonna make a bad situation to a good one here. We're gonna bring our underwear aficionado Charles Teed into the booth here with us, Steve. So Charles, first of all, I'm definitely bummed to see you not on the track here tonight. Not sure if just real life or connections or what, but take advantage here and be able to chat with you during the race. I mean, it sounds like you've been able to kind of keep an eye on things. What's been standing out to you so far? Oh, he stepped away. What was that all about? I had you, Charles. You ran away. Hold on. I don't think he's done with these boys yet. We'll give him another second. We'll pull him back in here once he's back. I think probably trying to get his microphone and everything squared away. But yeah, so Steve, we're gonna restart this thing with just outside of, it looks like about 55 to go. Probably gonna be about the restart point in this one. So yeah, we're going to have to kind of keep an eye and see. Strategy-wise, drivers that pitted there include Jack Walls, Yari Brupacher, Alec Coates, Status McMurray, and Scott Rankin, of course. So we'll have to keep an eye on them. However, we're going to try Charles here one more time. All right, Charles, let's see. You got us this time? Nope, he disappeared again. Wait, what's going on here? All right, there we go. How about this time, Charles?
There we go.
All right, so, well, first off, I would say we got one to go here, but as I got to start off with, definitely missing seeing you on track there. So I guess start off with that. I'd say, where are you at? Did you miss the track? He got kicked again or something. I don't know what's happening. That might be the answer. That might be why he's not on track here tonight. It looks like just technical difficulties possibly. So we'll keep trying. I said we get another yellow. We'll try for him again here. But Steve, again, 55 to go here once we get this restart underway. Fresh Tire is going to restart in 11th with Jack Walls being the first of those. But I think the leader, I think the winner is going to probably come from, I'm going to say the top 7. Let's say obviously Matt Wagner is going to have the toughest sledding here, but I'm going to be watching Matt here to see what kind of grounds he can make. But we know how tough it is to pass at this track.
Yeah, and it's been a while since I've seen Eric Schaus in the lead. And he's very fast tonight, so I could definitely see him taking it if nothing else weird happens this race.
Yeah, this has definitely been a weird one so far.
I also think that Nick DeGroot is going to be very aggressive here.
Yeah, so it's a great start there by that number 72. And you talk about Nick, we're going to focus on him because, yeah, he's right behind that 53 of Quabi Brooks. To say Quabi, I think his first start with these Indy cars hasn't run them very often. I was trying to give him the little knowledge I had of these cars to help him out, but I'm actually going to go up front because look at this. Jeff Hysong out of nowhere. It's a great run through off of 2 down the backstretch. Little bobble there off of 4. Oh, man, it's a drag race here at the line. Eric's going to hold on to it, but he was flirting with that wall as well off of 4.
Boy, Nick DeGroot got off it a little bit early. I think just trying to get a better run off the turn and leave some room for the guys ahead. And I think he scared Craig Forsyth a little bit.
Man, I'm nervous in this pack right now, but so I gotta give a shout out to my brother here, saying getting around that 18 car, moves himself up into 2nd position here. Like I said, I believe this is his first IndyCar race that I can remember in a long time. And I mean, to have the confidence that he's got right now with having that solo spin, fighting with the top 3 here, fighting with some of our perennial front runners. So it's going to probably be a pretty good feeling here. So again, hopefully no commentators curse or anything like that, but definitely a great run right now. But he's, like I said, he's going to be under attack here. So you saw Nick DeGroot, he grabbed that spot. Craig Forsyth, you know Craig's going to waste no time. As I say that Quabi gets loose entering, he's going to catch the wall. However, at the moment, Steve, he's going to keep it pointed straight. This might allow this race to stay green. And unfortunately, that's going to be his night done because that fast repair had already been taken. And it looks like he's safely going to get off track. So the commentator's curse continues. Quabi, I am sorry.
It's not just commentator's curse there. It's brother's curse.
I say yes, the family. Oh my goodness, Craig Forsyth sends it into turn number 1. Almost caught the left rear there of Nick DeGroot. Man, that was inches there between those two as well. And now we got to go to Nick DeGroot because he is sending it through 3. He's going to grab the spot from Eric Schaus here. Nick making a big move, almost losing a spot to get in a spot, as now Eric's going to try to go back after it here, back in 1.
Eric was like, "All right, you're not doing that."
Yeah, but that tighter radius in turn 1, I think that you want to be in that middle to the outside line. Here's now Craig's going to send it here in 3, try to get around the 72, and is able to get the throttle down. He's going to grab that pass once more, and again, Eric's going to try to go low here, Steve, but I think that middle to top groove in 1 and 2 is where you got to be to keep that momentum built up.
It's really tough to make a pass on the inside in 1 or 2.
Yeah, and Craig indeed going to hold that spot. So, but look at this pack now. So you just talked about Nick DeGroot going to be aggressive, and he goes after it right away. He gets the lead now after all of that was said and done. But then look behind these guys. Again, Jeff Hysong, he's still going after. Jim Brooks putting a lot of pressure on him. This is 4th and 5th right there. Matt Wagner still in the picture as well in that number 6 car. So now the next question is going to be strategy. Do we see any short pits? Do we see anybody go ahead and try to go off strategy? There's a lot of potentials here for what these drivers can do. Excuse me. But again, I think actually, you know what? Yari Brupacher way off pace here. Looking at the car, I'm not sure what's going on with Yari here, Steve. Oh, that he's got suspension damage, Steve. Just looked at the wheel there, had that thing cranked to the right. Oh, it's going to bring out the yellow. He's trying to get off track to avoid the yellow, but it winds up throwing the yellow anyway. And you know who's going to be thanking him for that one, Steve?
Anders Arhus.
Anders Arhus going to get back on the lead lap here with just outside of 40 to go. So, man, let's say, unfortunately, don't know what happened to Yari there, but catches the wall, puts himself now, unfortunately, down, I think, and out of the race, it looks like, as well, in that 49 car. But, yeah, it's going to promote Anders now to that lucky dog position, put him back onto the lead lap. And this is going to get interesting, Steve. I don't think anybody's in the window to make it to the end, but this could be a splash of fuel territory if they go green to the end instead of having to take a longer stop. So I feel like pit road's going to be busy. Oh, it's going to be a lonely Nick DeGroot here, Steve.
That's very interesting that he stayed out.
Now the question is, does he have any friends further back? He's going to have a few. He's going to have Joseph Morales, it looks like, Alec Coates. I think Scott Rankin's going to... Scott's in, I'm sorry. Thaddeus McMurray's also going to stay out. So there's going to be 4 total who stay out here. And actually not a bad call for Alec and Thaddeus here. They pitted at laps 77 and 79. So they're not as far off sequence as those guys. So this is actually a great gamble for those two as well.
What Nick DeGroot is doing here is, number one, keeping track position, but number two, gambling that everybody else is going to have to pit once more, which, as long as this stays green, I'd say definitely they will. If there's another caution or two, those guys that just pitted are going to be able to save probably enough fuel to not have to pit again. So this is a pretty big gamble here.
This is definitely a roll of the dice gamble for sure with these guys. I'm watching Thaddeus McMurray. Looks like he's opting to go ahead and jump in after all, so that's going to be one less margin for that number 89 of Nick DeGroot. It looks like it's going to move Craig Forsyth with that up into 4th position. So it's going to move Craig up into 4th. And yes, that's going to leave us now 3 drivers. Again, the one I like the most with this, though, is Alec Coates. Pitted on lap 77, so he's going to be about 13 laps off of those guys behind him. But he's also got about 11 laps on Nick DeGroot. So he's kind of right there in that middle. Yeah, so my brother popped in chiming in, unfortunately. So he ran out of the limited resource of talent, he says. But I honestly, man, don't hang your head on that one. I mean, let's say to be your first IndyCar race in I don't know how long at probably one of the most difficult tracks here tonight. To be where you were, you got that spin, unfortunately, in 3 and 4, to then come back and be battling for that top 2, top 3 positions. I mean, that's not an easy thing to do, but yeah, yeah, the commentator's curse is real, man. I'd say it's hard not to find ways of doing it. I think people should start paying me to start hyping up some of their competition to give themselves a better chance for these races, Steve. I think I found a new business venture.
It sounds like a good way to make some side money.
Yeah, so Giles Commentator's Curse. You can find me at commentatorscurse@gmail.com.
I don't think
that email's not real.
I don't think I have. I'm glad you added that disclaimer. I don't think I have the commentator's curse that you have.
I'll say so. Yes, I think from now on, Steve, we're gonna basically any predictions or shout outs, things like that. I think we're gonna have to let those come from you, and I think that's gonna have to be the way we science this out.
That could work.
I mean, I say we gotta do some sort of theories here. So, all right, Steve. 4th place, pitting on lap number 90. 1st place, 60. Actually, you know, I don't even have to tell you. I can show everybody real quick before we get back to green. Where is my pit stop deltas? There's our pit strategy.
So everybody watching knows, these guys can go probably about 35, 37 laps under green.
And we're going 42 to go on the restart here. So you can see on the right side, that's the pit strategy when they pitted last. So you can see that you can't really see when Craig pitted, but it's at lap number 90. So we're going to hide that back away because it's time to go back to racing. As this time it's going to be Nick DeGroot leading the way over Joseph Morales. Great restart there by Joseph, really quick on the draw. He's going to lose no time here and gets right back to the rear wing of that number 89 here as they enter turn number 1. Oh, close call there between Eric and Craig. Not sure if there's any contact or not. Looking at front wings. Everybody's front wing looks okay, but we're going to jump to Craig, though, because he's wasting no time. He's going to work on Alec. Try to get Joseph maybe in the same turn. The outside line is going to prevail once more, though. Yeah. And this is where Nick's got to just go and just try to run away and hide. And now the next question here, Steve. Do we see alternating strategies? Maybe do we see somebody who's in this group that pitted there? Is anybody going to try to stretch this? I mean, we talked about, I think we saw drivers in the 37 plus range. Can anybody really stretch it? Drivers that topped off there include Thaddeus McMurray, Anders R, who's pitted a lap later than those guys. I mean, maybe Anders, maybe he doesn't go for gold here. He just says, you know what, I'm gonna tag on the back of somebody, I'm gonna draft, and I'm gonna fuel mileage the crap out of these guys.
Well, I wonder, if the guys that,
As I say that, Anders trying to pass the 36 car, got a little wiggly there, makes me nervous, but is able to hang on to it. Nick, though, he's doing what I said, Steve. He is running away and hiding, puts down the fastest lap of a race, 24.74 to second place, 25.27, half a second faster. He has almost built up a 2-second gap already here in just these 3 laps.
so I was going to say, the guys that just pitted on lap 90, if I wonder if they're running like map 3, can they save enough fuel to actually make it?
Yeah, that's the question mark. We don't know who's been saving what maps and things like that. And like I said, it's just, you kind of just have to play with your hand with what you think is going to be the winning strategy here. Honestly, I feel like if I'm far enough back with these guys that pitted, that even topped off, it's tough for Anders because you have pace, and so you want to be aggressive in case of an untimely caution where everybody's going to pit or stay out anyway. You want to kind of jump up there. But man, I'd be leaning towards just kind of just sipping that fuel as little as you can here. So now we're going to see, though, I'm about ready to see some comparable lap times, though, Steve, because now Craig has gotten around Alec Coates as Eric Schaus not quite follows along, working on trying to follow along. But now this is Craig's opportunity here. I want to see how his lap times compare to Nick DeGroot's. Again, these guys have 24 laps difference of their fuel mileage here. But Nick, again, he's built up over a 3-second lead here on this restart.
I mean, he has no choice. He's got to go.
Yeah, you got to build the gap because you're going to have a longer pit stop if we go green. So, and this is another question mark too for Nick. Is there potential, if he can build up enough of a margin, do you maybe short pit once you're in your window if you can stay on the lead lap? Because at that point, I feel like if you're going to have to pit under caution, if there is one, you're going to lose so much track position. Maybe it's almost better to pit early if you can and not lose that lap. So a lot to play for here. It's going to get very interesting. And as I said, we don't know strategies. We don't know who's got what under their sleeves. Matt Wagner has gotten around Jeff Highsong's, working on Joseph Morales as we speak, trying to get back into that top 5 here. And so this is going to be one of our first kind of representative laps for Craig here. As we'll say, we're going to see what the 89 runs that last time by. Another fast 24.86 that time by for Nick. And for Craig Forsyth, 25.23, about 0.4 off. And that's that 3-second gap we talked about, Steve, almost 4 seconds.
And I wonder how much of that is fuel saving, because we've seen Craig do that before. We definitely seen Eric else do that.
Yeah, they run just fast enough to hold that track position, but still slip and fuel at the same time. I mean, Craig, I remember a Dover race telling me he was switching between fuel maps in the turns and the straightaways. As I say that, oh my goodness, Eric Schaus, Alec Coates almost come together off of turn number 2. I think Alec had to roll out of the throttle there not to run over the back of that 72 of Eric Schaus here. I say a little further back, Scott Rankin, Jeff Highsong battling inside the top 10 with one another. I say again for Scott here, just trying to recover from his earlier incident to try to get back up front as well. It's definitely been a tough race for that 156 car. So, and then Anders R, who's still sitting right behind Eric Peterson. So, I'm just gonna say that Anders is just taking his sweet time here, just saving every drop of fuel right now. I could be wrong. Oh, actually, Joseph Morales, he's gonna be the first to pit here, Steve. 30 to go. Joseph gonna pit, I think, like I said, just once that window's open, he's gonna opt to see what he can do with maybe some fresh tires and fuel in that 60 car. But for this to work out for him, he needs this to stay green.
Nick DeGroot's gonna have to pit any lap now.
Yeah, lap number 66. We're at lap number 106, so that's 40 laps, obviously including some yellows. But you're right, though, Nick's not too far away from pitting. But the thing is, he's built up almost a 3/4 straightaway lead. It's almost approaching 5 seconds here. So now the question for Nick is, again, Jim Brooks, actually, he's hitting pit road as well in the 51. Looks like he's going for that same strategy, pit once you're in your window. But man, even with Nick's pace right now, he still stays out another lap here. I think Nick's going to go as far as he can. As long as he's going faster than these guys behind him, I think this is not a bad call to, again, just build any margin you can here.
But the fact that he's stretching it so far, he's pitting now. The fact that he's stretched it this far it really makes me wonder about the guys, if the guys that pitted on lap 90, if they're playing with their fuel mapping, I think they might, some of them, I think, might be able to make it.
It's going to be very, very nip and tuck. And it's one of those things, too, where these drivers might wind up fighting each other and running themselves out of fuel, trying to keep that track position. So right now the top three is going to be Craig, Eric, and Alec. And then actually Matt Wagner and Scott Rankin, a pretty heated battle here for 4th and 5th. This is going to be very, very intriguing here. Again, pretty much everybody. Actually, Alec is going to have to pit. He pitted on 77. But he can go again probably about 5-10 more laps than Nick here, so he's got a little bit more time to play with. And also on the pit stop side of things, need to mention Jim Brooks, 4.5 second pit stop for him, fuel only there. Joseph Morales, 8 seconds, Nick DeGroot, 8.6 seconds, so 4 tires and fuel for those drivers. But again, right now, all of those drivers that pitted are trapped 1 lap down as they run, so they need this to run all the way through and hope that these guys still have to make a pit stop.
And I can tell you that these guys up front, they're going to stretch it as far as they can possibly go.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I'm going to make a prediction, and we're going to see if we get a commentator's curse out of this. I'm going to predict that Craig Forsyth, Eric Schaus, and Matt Wagner can all make it the rest of the way. Alec Coates obviously can't.
Well, I'm proving you wrong right away here, Steve, because Matt Wagner in pit road now. So Matt's looks like he's going to do the same. Going to try to short pit a little bit in that 6 car. And so, yeah, again, I'm surprised by this. So this is telling me, though, that I don't think there's very many that think they can make it here. As Eric and Craig, big battle there. As you see, Eric tried to cut underneath in turn number 3. And they are going to be side by side here off of turn number 4. Craig's going to hold the lead for the moment, but these guys are going after. They're not even, I don't know if they're thinking about fuel here, Steve. They might be trying to run each other out.
That's possible, definitely. We've seen that before.
Yeah, so now the other question is going to be, where does Matt come out in relation to Nick DeGroot? Because Matt just took fuel only. I can tell you Nick's already down and away here, so Matt's going to cycle out behind that number 89 car by about a half a straightaway, it looks like, by the time he builds his speed back up. And now, let's say, just to make things even more tricky for these guys, Craig's starting to come into traffic, starting with Jack Walls in the 83 car. But I think Alec Coates should be hitting pit road very soon in that number 3.
And I'm still going to stick with my prediction that Craig and Eric can make it the rest of the way.
And as I say that, here comes Alec. He is going to hit pit road now, so that's going to leave only drivers left now, those that pitted at lap number 90, Steve. But the thing is, too, I think for Craig and Eric and them, even if they can't make it to the end, I think this is the right strategy. You run this thing absolutely as far as you possibly can, because right now you've got all but the top 10 trapped a lap down. Actually, once Alec completes the hit stop, he'll be a lap down as well. So you've basically only got about 8 cars left on the lead lap here. So I think this is the right call for these guys. I'd say the ones I'm watching are the ones that... you know what? No, I'm not going to say who I'm watching because I've been jinxing everybody tonight, so I'm not going to say it. And we're going to see how it all plays out. But I think the pace right now by Craig and Eric, it's too fast. I don't think they can make it.
Okay. We have opposite predictions here. We shall see.
But, I mean, you're not wrong, though. Say, for the fuel savers of Area 51, Craig and Eric are at the top of the list. So... the other thing we've got to mention, again, on the pit stop side of things, those that did pit, right now it's Nick DeGroot over Matt Wagner, then Alec Coates, Jim Brooks, Joseph Morales. Those are the order of those that pitted. And Matt's about 1.6 seconds off of Nick DeGroot. And actually, he was about a tenth of a second quicker that last time by. Man, Eric sends it into turn number 1 so much deeper than Craig. And just every time he does it, gets me nervous.
It's probably bet he's getting Craig nervous too.
Oh yeah, no, that might be his plan, is make Craig watch his mirrors. I mean, these guys, they know each other. I say as a whole, this whole league really gets along well with one another. But they've got a nice about 4-second lead over Scott Rankin, who's leading a little group behind him that have all kind of spaced themselves out nicely. Again, not gonna make predictions here, but this is kind of in my mind, this is a fuel mileage group right here. That Scott Rankin running 25.32 is about 2/10 off of those guys. Then you got Jeff Hysongs right there, still in the draft of Scott. You got AJ Hobson's right there. Anders Arhus, again, he pitted a lap later with that lucky dog that he got, he sits in 6th position. And then Eric Peterson about 5 seconds back now off of Scott in that 36. And I would say pretty safely right now, I think Eric Peterson is going fuel strategy, because I think he's just dropping back and just trying to save every ounce of fuel in that 36 car. Because I've raced with Eric a fair bit between here and then over at Dark Horse on Wednesdays. He's a pretty good strategist there, so I'm going to keep an eye on his fuel numbers as well, because it's coming down to it really quick here, Steve. We're already down to 15 to go. It's going to be 14 at the line. And yeah, if these guys have to pit, they're going to be pitting on older tires, on lighter fuel, and we know how treacherous that entry and exit access road is here at Gateway.
Yeah, but I totally agree with you that they're doing the right thing by staying out as long as they possibly can, because we've seen this happen before where people pitted early that didn't have to, and then the yellow comes out and they're trapped a lap down or whatever, when they could have been up there battling for the lead for the win.
And this is the other thing I'm gonna counter with too, Steve, is or not counter, but kind of to add to that. Last time by Craig 25:05, Nick DeGroot 25:19. So it's not like he's running any slower than Nick DeGroot either. He's running very good lap times. And so honestly, I haven't been looking at the laps these last few laps, but it's very possible that maybe he's trying to stretch it a little bit further. Seeing Jeff Highsong, I saw him dropping off pace a little bit. He's going to hit pit road here with 12 to go. So he was one of those that pitted at lap number 90. He's stretching it a little bit further. But our leaders continue to stay out, though, here in that 27 and the 72.
It could be that Craig's looked at his fuel mileage and said, "I can make it, so I'm going."
Yeah, there's the two trains of thought where it's like, okay, I'm good to go, let's send it, or I can't make it, let's send it. And okay, well, my prediction's wrong, Steve. Anders Arhus, he hits pit road. I thought Anders would be the one to make it, unfortunately. So I can now say that pit. Yep, here comes Craig as well. That's going to put Eric Schaus now to the point. And this is going to be crucial here, Steve. We got to see, where do Craig and Nick DeGroot come out in relation to each other. Again, they've both been running really solid lap times. They've had some clean air. It's just basically pitting early versus pitting late. I think it could come down to who has the longer pit stop, if Craig chooses to take tires or not. So right now I'm watching Craig on the ticker. Looks like he's just about to hit his pit stall now. As again, Eric Schaus continues to lead one more lap here. It's down to 9 laps to go here. And Craig is leaving his pit stall now as the number 89 is past start finish line heading into turn number 1. I'm going to focus on Craig here, because this could be the battle for the win. And right now, looks like, pending a safe exit here, Craig's going to come out with the lead. And he had a 4-second pit stop, Steve. That is just fuel only for our race leader. Yep. As here comes Eric Schaus.
Yeah, where will Eric come out in relation to Craig? That's the next big question.
Yep. And I'm saying, and the thing for Schaus here is, now you know what Craig did. You know he took fuel only. So I think this is where, okay, he took fuel only. I got to do the same. And I just got to hope that my in and out laps were better than that 27 car to be able to propel myself to the front.
Hit his pit stall perfectly.
Yeah, pit stall's nice. You see there, no tires down and away. Quick stop here, Steve. 3.97 seconds compared to Craig's 4.3, so about 0.3 gains there as he comes through turns 1 and 2. Where is Craig? Right behind Jack Walls. This is going to be tight, Steve. Craig's going to take the lead here.
That was close.
However, they are not 1 and 2, Steve. Remember, we're talking about a certain wily driver we talked about. He's got about 8 seconds of a margin to play with right now. And that's Eric Peterson. It seemed ducking down low. Is this him hitting pit road? Oh, it is. Okay, so Eric Peterson, he's going to have to bite the bullet too here, coming to 6 to go this time around. Eric tried to go as far as he could, but not enough to make it. So nobody could make it to the end. But right now, it's actually Craig Forsyth here leading Eric Schaus, leading Nick DeGroot. That is our top 3 as they run. Matt Wagner in 4th. Scott Rankin's going to cycle up into that 5th position.
So my prediction didn't work, but
I don't think any of our predictions worked this time.
but I didn't commentator's curse anyone. So
That is true. So yeah, so right now, say Steve, they're going to come around here, 5 more to go. At this point, it's just going to be all about outright pace. And could tires play a factor? That's going to be another question, because our top 2 did not take tires. Third place of Nick DeGroot did take tires. However, that's been about, almost 20 laps ago now. Have they evened out? Because right now, looking at lap times, 25:08 for Craig, 25:07 for Eric, pretty much just mirroring their lap times. About 2/10 slower for Nick DeGroot here. So right now, looking pretty good. The whole field actually pretty much separated by about a second or two. These guys, let's say, just yeah, it's all pretty calm, if you can say that, with these guys as they run here. I'll say, also need to mention here before we get to these closing laps, there are no green white checkers here, so if there's a late yellow, there won't be any late race chaos. This thing would finish under yellow. So for Craig, he just needs to keep this car, keep it clean, keep it pretty here for these final 3 laps, 2.5 now as they go down the back. Saying he'll be a very, very happy camper, because I feel like he's probably felt like he's had a couple go away from him, but like I said, he's got to keep it clean here for 2 more laps. But he does have a lot of clean track in front of him as they cross line 2 to go here. And right now, I'd say it's Craig, Eric, and Nick, our top 3.
Yeah, and I would say barring anything unforeseen, this is how it's going to finish.
Yeah, so enough margin here between these guys up front. Looking at lap times, there could be a battle here for 6 between Alec Coates and AJ Hobson. It's down to about 0.4 of a second, but we'll have to keep an eye on that as they get closer to the end, because we've got the white flag out for the 27 of Craig Forsyth. Started in the 2nd position, got the lead, went long on the fuel cycle, and it looks like pretty much did what he had to do there. Eric Schau started in the 12th position. He's going to jump up into the 2nd spot, it looks like. But out of 4, it's going to be Craig Forsyth getting the win. You can see he's celebrating before he gets the line there. Very happy camper. Eric Schau's going to finish in 2nd. Nick DeGroot there in 3rd. And that battle for that 7th spot, it's going to stay with that 4 of AJ Hobson. Alec Coates is going to finish there in 7th. But man, Steve, that was a wild one tonight. I say just the timing of those days. You see the fireworks going off in the background. But man, just the way that one played out, very, very interesting. A lot of strategies that we weren't sure how it was going to unfold. But Craig, I think, finally got those breaks he was looking for tonight to grab that win.
Yeah, definitely. And for Matt Wagner, a little bit of a heartbreaker, but he did manage to bring it back to 4th. So hopefully he doesn't feel too bad about tonight.
Yeah, and the big picture too in the points battle too, a great recovery for Scott Rankin after everything he went through. The first the yellow that he brought out during the pit stop cycle, then getting that damage from hitting the outside wall, but kept in it to survive that one, and able to come home with that top 5 as well. So definitely a really good result for him, all things considered. So while I watch Craig celebrate here, let's go ahead and pull up our final race results here. Craig Forsyth getting the win over Eric Schaus there by about 1.5 seconds. Another 1.5 back to Nick DeGroot. Matt Wagner got close there, brought it down to about 0.8 of a second in 4th. Like I said, Scott Rankin in 5th. AJ Hobson just able to hold off Alec Coates for 6th and 7th. And then you got Jim Brooks, Jeff Heisong, Anders Arhus recovers to a top 10. Was 2 down, got back to the top 10, but I feel like that's going to feel like another one that maybe got away, at least the top 5, I think, for him. Joseph Morales there, solid 11th place for him, though. Eric Peterson, hoping he could do the fuel numbers, not enough to make it either, though. He finishes 12th. And Thaddeus McMurray, 13th. Jack Walls, 14th. Yari Brupacher, 15th. And Quavi Brooks, Gary Corley, and Charles Teed round out our final results here tonight. With that, Steve, we got some drivers to chat with. And we're going to kick it off with our 3rd place finisher of Nick DeGroot. So first I got to hunt him on down. There he is. So let's go ahead and pull in our 3rd place finisher of Nick DeGroot. Nick qualified in 5th, brings it home in 3rd. And as it was a gamble. Obviously, you never know if and when those cautions could fall. It stays green to the end there, so you had a longer pit stop, so I think pretty much had no question there. You might as well take those tires. But I think the most impressive thing for Steve and I, though, was that run once you got the lead there, and just, I mean, the lap times you were putting down to build that gap to those guys for that pit stop cycle. I mean, you were hauling the mail. There's honestly no real other way to put it.
Yeah, I was doing all I could there because I knew once we pitted, we were probably going to come out in traffic, and that was going to cost us some time. And I knew their stops would be shorter, and Craig and Eric, on top of their stops being shorter, they actually, both of them took no tires on that last stop. But yeah, so that really helped me, and I think that's the reason we came away with this with a podium. But oh man, I was sweating. I do not like being on that strategy where you're just sitting there holding your breath, hoping there's not going to be a yellow. And thankfully there wasn't, because we could have very easily finished like 10th to 12th in this race. But to come away with Gateway with a podium, I'm very happy with that.
So Nick, when you made that decision to stay out, what was your thinking right then?
Well, the first part of my thinking was that more people would do it with me. So it was a bit nerve-wracking saying nobody stay out. I think I had Joseph and maybe Alec, and that was it. But yeah, it's just we were near the pit window, but we weren't close enough to save enough to make it from there. So I'm like, I got to hold on to this clean air and hope I either get a caution right before I have to pit, or the riskier thing, it goes green the rest of the way. And it worked out. We kind of got caught out by a yellow earlier in the race, and we got saved by a green flag later. So it all worked out in the end. It all leveled out. Got hurt earlier, got help later.
Yeah, and that was exactly what was the timing of the yellows. It was a tough call at times of staying out versus pitting, because I mean, at a track like this, we saw it at Loudon last week. The timing of the yellows really played a big impact on that race as well. It was a pretty similar situation here today, where we saw that one yellow again, just the middle of pit stop cycles. And I was saying that actually probably a good transition point too. Is just, I mean, talk about the access road, the entry and the exit. I mean, I was talking to some drivers before practice, and they're mentioning like it almost feels like it's banked the opposite way with how flat it is and just how slick it was.
Oh yeah, I'm putting a negative weight checker when I'm going on that entry road. It's crazy. And when I saw Scott go off there, I can't say I was surprised, because I was right on the edge of doing the same thing every time I went down pit road. When I practiced it earlier and in the race tonight, it's a very sketchy pit road. And yeah, I don't know what's up with it. Maybe it is banked the other way, but it's definitely, you got to tiptoe. You want to gain time on entry, but you just can't do that here. It'll bite you if you try to get greedy.
Yeah, and it was definitely, you weren't the only one to be cutting it close there, but it was impressive to see what you're able to do there to gain some time on that pit entry and exit. I mean, that's where a big chunk of that comes from, especially when you get those pit access roads. So awesome job to grab that third place tonight. So before we let you go, though, I know you've got some great sponsors and partners on board here. Definitely want to give you an opportunity for thanks and shouts for that top three tonight.
Yeah, thank you as always to Factory Back Motorsports and CoveyMoore.com, Motorsport.com. Racing season starting back up. We got NASCAR at Daytona and LA this month. That's weird to say. So we're going to have lots of interesting coverage from there. And as always, Cowboy Ship, Lace Pods, Wegmans, DeGroot Automotive, U-Haul and Detailing, the family business there. And yeah, I don't like this track. I'm very happy to get a podium, and I'm hoping we can repeat it tomorrow in Dark Horse.
Yeah, that's right. I'll be joining there. So hopefully I'll get some tips from you guys before the race time. But yeah, awesome job though tonight, Nick. And I said it was a great fight we saw with you over the course of that race there. Especially that I said that big push at the end, trying to get that gap was really impressive there.
Yeah, thank you. See you on the track tomorrow.
Great job, Nick.
Thanks.
All right, Steve. That's going to jump to our second place finisher, and that's going to be the 72 here Hot Wheels machine of Eric Schaus. So we're going to pull Eric on in. Started in 12th, jumps all the way up to second. And I say we didn't get to see it, unfortunately, but man, Steve and I was watching the timing and scoring and looked there and it's like, man, Eric's getting a lot of spots those first two laps on just the initial start there. Was that just you going full send, or maybe everybody else being a little bit tentative and you taking advantage of the situation? I mean, we'll start off with that. I mean, take us through those opening laps to gain so much track position at the start of this race at a very difficult track to pass at.
Yeah, I think everybody got bunched up a little bit on the start, and it opened up some lines to kind of weave through some people. I think on the exit of 2 on the first lap, some people struggled a little bit, which gave me a really good run on the outside and let me jump a couple positions right off the bat.
Eric, I want you to know I'm very disappointed in you, because You're one of the best fuel savers in this league. I predicted that you were going to be able to make it the rest of the way, and you didn't.
I really wanted to try, but I needed to save 4.1 gallons, I think, or right around 4 gallons. And I didn't think I could do it and keep up with everybody else. So I decided to go with the splash at the end, and worked out okay.
Yeah, it definitely did. How close were you when? Okay, if you rewind it to the last caution, when I'm sure you were thinking about, can I make it the rest of the way? Did you run a different fuel map for a lot of that run at the end, or what did you do trying to save fuel? And when did you decide you couldn't?
I actually decided really early on in the race that I couldn't. On that first green flag run that we had, I started running map 3, and I was struggling to keep up with some of the mid pack guys. And I figured that's just not going to work. So I got to run it in map 1, and then just coast through the turns, be patient through the turns, and save some fuel that way over the people in front of me, and let them do the work.
Okay, but obviously you knew that you weren't going to make it no matter what you did for that last segment.
Yeah, I was 10 laps short, and I don't know. If I had maybe done some research, I was going in blind here, so I didn't know if I could save 10 laps. That seemed like a pretty big stretch. So I just erred on the side of caution.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, I was saying, as a whole, I mean, it's still a great result. Like I said, to start 12th, come home in second place. I was saying, I mean, you and Craig, they're a really good duel there between the two of you, trying to either jockey for position, who had the track position going into the pit stops. Let's say you were able to go that one extra lap over Craig, to see maybe you can, again, kind of do the overcut, if you will, and try to jump him that way. You guys came out pretty close together there, just like I said, that one lap difference. Do you feel like it could have been a different outcome had you pitted before Craig, or you think it was going to be pretty much the same result, be it the lap before versus the lap after?
Yeah, I think I wanted to do the overcut. That was my plan all along. I was hoping to go 2 extra laps than him, but I couldn't make 2. I could only make 1. And then we also hit lap traffic just as he pitted in. I mean, I think that was he saw the lap traffic, so he knew that was a good time to go in. And I decided to stay out. I noticed that near the end of the runs, we were actually hitting our fastest times of the run. So I figured the overcut is definitely on. But with the lap traffic, I couldn't get enough pace to make up, 8/10 or whatever it was that he had on me.
Yeah, it was, like I said, it was a great battle between you guys, and obviously the pit strategy worked, doing the fuel only, able to jump Nick there and offset the gap that he had made early on, and plus, of course, him having to take tires with that longer pit stop as well. So still worked out pretty well overall here. I'll say, again, we make jokes about me being the commentator's curse one, so I noticed it was pretty quiet in the chat tonight, so was that some spouse curse avoidance by Dr. Schaus on your end as well?
Yeah, probably. I'm sure. It was a pretty quiet night for me. I finished 0x and kept it clean for the most part. I had 1 tap into the wall, which I'm glad didn't cause any damage, but otherwise it was a pretty uneventful race. Just having fun battling with Craig up front there.
Yeah, it was a really impressive fight between the two of you. So with that, though, before we let you go, definitely want to give you the floor for any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that runner-up here tonight.
Yeah, shout out to you guys. I appreciate it. Always fun watching the broadcast. Thanks to Area 51 for putting on the league. And then my wife is saying to thank her, even though she didn't watch. So
I was busy.
I'll say she's busy doing doctor things.
Right.
Awesome job tonight. So you'll have to give her a recap of the race there once we let you go here. So yeah, just awesome job though tonight, Eric. Like I said, I think also gives you the highest climber for this result as well. So I think that's also still a bonus point as well. So obviously in the points season long championship, all those little things can go a long way as well. So yeah, great job tonight, man. Look forward to seeing you the rest of the season.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Yeah, great job, Eric.
Thanks.
All right, that leaves one person left to chat with, Steve, and that is going to be our race winner in that number 27 of Craig Forsyth. I believe the first win with the new paint scheme tonight, and I feel like you probably felt like you had a couple get away from you so far this season, Craig. So I'm guessing it feels pretty good to kind of get that one off your back in this race here tonight.
Oh, you aren't kidding. It's. I was starting to contemplate going back to the old scheme because Things were not going well.
All right, so I think we got to go. I think I think for Steve and I'll speak for both of us, but I'll say, Steve, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to say probably the main focus for me at least is that battle going into that last pit stop there. I mean, you and Eric just duking it out there, putting down those fast laps. At that point, were you just fully focused on Eric, or in the back of your mind were you trying to kind of keep an eye to see what maybe Nick's interval was in relation to you guys? Or how much were you having to focus, or where were you trying to focus there on that last green flag run there before the pit stop?
I thought Nick had it. I wasn't aware of how long his pit stop was, so I didn't know if he'd taken tires or not. So I wasn't sure if he hadn't taken tires, he would probably be ahead of us. And so, yeah, when we did come out, because I knew me and Eric were not taking tires, not with 15 laps to go. So when we came out and I saw how far behind he was, I realized, yeah, he had taken tires. And so I think that played a lot into it, because that was probably a 4 or 5 second difference in the pit stop lengths.
Yeah, I think
Mitch
it was
lucky.
Yeah, I think he was like 8 seconds and you were 4 seconds. Craig, I was wondering, I kind of teased Eric about this, but you guys are both very good fuel savers, and I made a incorrect prediction that you guys would be able to stretch it to the end. When you made that the pit stop on the last caution, did you have any thoughts at all that you might be able to make it, or what were you thinking then?
No, I'd spent the first part of the race testing out how low I could get my fuel mileage, because I knew after about lap 18 or so, I would probably be able to 3 stop it to the end, or 2 stop it to the end, in stretching my fuel. So I already was aware that the most I could make was probably 41 laps, and we had 45 or 46 to the end. So there was going to be no, basically, unless I put it into map 8 and sat behind someone and turned off my brain, there was no way I was going to make it to the end.
Yeah, and you couldn't really do that with Eric nipping at you.
No.
Yeah, no, and Steve and I, it was tight. We felt like to be able to make it, but I say we were both kind of in the mindset like, if there's going to be somebody to try to pull that fuel strategy off, you and Eric would be good candidates for that. And then when you saw everybody ducking off early to kind of do the undercut, if you will, did you have any thoughts about reacting to that, or knowing that pretty much a pit stop equals going down a lap, that like your mind was set up like, I'm going to be running this thing as far as I can, just in case of that potential yellow to trap a bunch of drivers lap down?
No, exactly. Yeah, I knew at that point it was between Eric and I, because we'd broken off enough that I wasn't really paying attention to what anyone other than Eric pitting. I mean, if Eric had pitted, I probably would have had no choice but to respond. So I was running it to the end or until Eric pitted, because you can't go a lap down here. It's you're the 20 something laps that Nick was a lap down. That's too long for me to gamble. That's he's a better Vegas guy than I am.
Yeah, I mean, his hands were pretty forced though too, because let's say he had stayed out on that one yellow where you guys hopped in. So let's say I think he pretty much went as far as he could there before he pitted. So yeah, I'll say his hands were pretty tied there, I think. But I'll say, and that's what he was talking about, was like it was going to be a gamble, but yeah, I think hands were kind of tied there. So worked out obviously very well in your favor here tonight, getting that big win. I say, unfortunately, I didn't see your teammate here this evening, unfortunately, but you'll have to give him your results here for the race here tonight. So definitely want to give you the floor though, Craig, for thanks and shouts for that win this evening.
No, I got to thank Jim over at LMC Gear. Yeah, unfortunately, he was busy tonight prepping for a big snowstorm, so had stuff to get done before that rolled in. I guess real life takes precedence. And all the guys over at Area 51, I'm back every season. Tuesdays, great time, great racing. Come join us, or come watch. And glad to be here. Glad to have you guys broadcasting.
Yeah, it's always fun to be a part of this one, Craig. So yeah, awesome job tonight, man. Enjoy that one. Like I said, get that monkey off your shoulders, and obviously a great points night as well for you to see look at that overall points championship going into next week. So enjoy this one, man. Look forward to seeing you back at it again here next week, sir.
You betcha, man. Stay safe.
Congrats on the win, Craig. It's good to see you back up there in victory lane.
Thanks. It feels good. It really does.
All right, Steve, that's our race winner in that number 27 of Craig Forsyth. So yeah, once again, though, 135 laps here tonight. Craig Forsyth pulling off the win. As I'm kind of popping in the chat there on YouTube, Matt Wagner mentioning just, can't catch a break. And that's a very accurate statement, just that untimely yellow. I mean, he was long gone. Unfortunately, that yellow just came at the worst possible time for him in that number 6 car. So I'll say Craig got his monkey off tonight. Matt's going to be hoping to have that same thing happen shortly for him here as well.
Yep, definitely. But it was a very fun race to watch tonight, see the different strategies and some of the battles that went on. And it's especially nice to see guys like Craig and Eric back up there competing for the win. These guys have always been class acts and fast drivers in this league, and they didn't have the best luck last season, so this is great.
Yeah, I say definitely right. It's nice to see the tides turn, if you will, for some drivers that have had some tough races this season, last season. So the question will be, of course, who's going to be the next one to break through, because you've got tough competition. We've seen Scott Rankin; he's just from being new last season to just going full song here throughout this season so far. So Scott obviously going to be one of the perennial, I think, challengers. Same thing goes with Nick DeGroot. For Nick, kind of goes without saying, honestly, for him. But yeah, just a great result here tonight. So Steve, it was a pleasure having you back in the booth with me here. Glad you're able to get those updates done in time to be able to join in and have some fun with these guys tonight. And yeah, we'll be back at it again next week. Not sure where we're at. I'll have to go through our schedule and look. But yeah, definitely always a pleasure to be able to share the booth with you, man.
Always, Gael. Glad I was able to make it tonight.
And of course, as always, also got to thank everybody that's able to join us here on Green White Checker TV, supporting us, supporting the drivers, whoever it may be. Doesn't matter. Just love to see the chat and kind of the communication back and forth with everybody. So Charles, definitely missed having you on track, and saying sorry we weren't able to pull you in with the broadcasting. I don't know what was going on there, but hopefully we won't have to do that too often. So we want to see you on track as well. Hopefully you all enjoyed it tonight here at Gateway. Green White Checker will be back on Thursday night for the Super Speedway Truck Series at iRacing Super Speedway. So if you want to see 230 plus mile an hour trucks, check us out on Thursday. Until then, though, hope you have a wonderful evening. As Craig said, of course, stay safe. Until then, though, have a wonderful evening. Take care. Have a good night.
Night, everybody.